Real life. Okay. Trying something a little bit different going into the new year. Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope everything is going well for you so far. Hope you've got your coffee or whatever it is you need to drink to get going in the morning. Who am I to judge, right? Anyway, so on this little episode, very short little episode of Let's Write Together. Did I say, oh, what did I call this? Oh, you know what? No, write with me. I didn't write. I didn't write. Okay, write with me. This short episode of Write with Me. I want to talk really quickly about bookends and callbacks. These are terms, I don't know if everybody uses them the same way I do. I use them to refer to something that has sort of been placed deliberately in the beginning of a story and then comes up again at the end of a story. Not the same thing as foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is that whole Chekhov's gun thing where if there's a rifle over the mantle in chapter one, it better go off by chapter five. Okay, everyone's kind of heard that one. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm actually, as I was thinking about doing the broadcast this morning, having a little bit of trouble trying to define what it is because for me it's an emotional thing that readers or viewers of your film or of your book, your novel, story, comic book, whatever it is, um, feel on this very primal sort of level. It's something very satisfying. Best example I could come up with off the top of my head, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning where I am, is Goodwill Hunting. Maybe midway through the film, I think maybe it's a little bit earlier, but I could be wrong, but no more than midway through the film, we have the two characters talking, and I don't remember their names. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I remember the scene very clearly where the one guy is telling Will, my dream, my hope is that one of these days I'm going to come to your house, pick you up in the morning, knock on the door, and you don't answer because you've left, you've gone on to do something better with your life than hanging around here. It's a great scene. You can look it up on that website where you look up videos that I don't want to say because strangely streams get shut down when you say competitors' words. So look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it in a while. It's a really, I just said it. Oh my God, it's so early. Look it up. It's a really great scene. And then, and what we think about during that scene is we're watching these characters interact. We're watching Will kind of think about that. We're seeing him contemplate this idea of not ever being here or not coming back to this place to move on and do something different with his life. And that's kind of where our mind is focused during the scene. It's almost the Ben Affleck character, his when he says this to Will, it's kind of a one-off. It's very casual. It's not the kind of line that really sticks with you, right? It just sort of lands and we keep going. We're more focused on how Will is reacting to this. Then we get to the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. You've had like 25 years or whatever. Time's up. We get to the end and there's that beautiful moment, and it's such a short little moment where they, if I'm remembering it correctly, they shoot it in the same way they've shot it previously in the film, where he gets out of the car, comes up, knocks on the door, says, "Hey, Will, come on, let's go, man." Knocks on the door, and there's no response. And Ben Affleck does such a great job in that moment of showing us. We see the realization of like, oh my God, he did it, and it's so satisfying as a viewer to see that. That is what I would call a bookend or a callback, or calling back to something that happened or was said earlier in the film, earlier in the story. And it just gives this really nice resonance to viewers and to readers. The story would still be good without that. We didn't have to have that scene for the story to be complete. We didn't have to have that scene for the story to be good. But the fact that they did it, it just lands really well. Um, so in this science fiction novel that I'm working on right now, for example, we have two different nations, and one of the nations is overrun, sort of being run, I should say, by these narco terrorists or cartels, whatever you want to call them, and the people on the in the other country next door are like, why don't you just get rid of them? Like if they're so terrible, why don't you just fight back, right? To which the first country's like, with what? Rocks and sticks? Like, what do you what do you expect us to do? And this is kind of this conversation happens in the beginning of the book, and then we leave it alone, and you're not going to really notice that this conversation happened because 40,000 words later, that whole story comes up. That discussion about rocks and sticks and why don't stand up and rise up against your oppressors comes back. And if I've done my job right, that will have that same resonance, that will land with that same sort of, oh, sort of feeling that we get at the end of Good Will Hunting. And there's a million other stories and movies I could reference. I just can't remember any of them off the top of my head because it's 6 o'clock in the damn morning. But anyway, look for these in your stories. And if you can't, find them, invent them. Go back in your revision process and actually place them in there intentionally. That's what revision is for. That's where the real, I don't want to say magic because that seems a little, I don't know, doesn't seem. I know, I'm going to let you in just a few minutes, okay? I have to lock the door to keep my kid out. Otherwise, she'll come barreling in here. I knew it was going to happen. Don't worry, she'll come in this way. Anyhow, if you aren't thinking of those things, again, in your first draft, don't worry about it, but do think of them in your revision. Go back and look for them, go back and plant them in, be intentional about it, because again, in my experience, it just really rounds out our stories and can bring some really nice, deep resonance to the story. It's not something you have to do. Your story can be complete without it, but man, it sure is cool when that kind of stuff shows up and lands. Okay, so that's it for this morning. My plan is to be back as many mornings as I can. I don't have a specific time. It just depends on when the kids wake up. Who knows? But I'm getting up early now to work on these stories. And then whenever I happen to learn that particular morning, whatever happens to be going on, I want to share with you. That's the plan. So feel free to leave comments and questions and stuff like that, or look me up on any social media, the one you're on right now, or any of the other ones. I'm pretty easy to find at Tom Levine, all one word. As long as you spell my name right, I'm pretty easy to find. And let's keep writing together, okay? Take care. Have a good Monday. Please stay safe. Wear your damn mask, all right? Please just do that, would you? That'd be awesome. And tell a great story today, okay? See you next time. Take care. That was a big, loud click.